Hi, this is Amy Anderson, and I'm here at Bearpaw Barn in Middletown, Connecticut, and this is Hudson. And we're gonna answer a question that was asked by Amanda Thompson about the use and correct use of adjusting side reins when you're lunging for training purposes. So if you're already at the stage of trying to use side reins, you have to assume that the horse knows how to lunge, staying on the circle, basically obeying commands, walk, trot, canter, and whoa, and that they do not turn in when you ask them to stop. Because if they do that and you have side reins attached, it can cause big problems because the horse can feel trapped, they can start to rear, they can run backwards, things like that. So it's essential that they stop perpendicular to you instead of turning in to face you before you introduce equipment like this. So we've got a bunch of stuff on his face to start with, and he's got on his regular bridle for riding. So we've got just a French link snaffle Valker bit in his mouth, and I twisted up the reins to keep them out of the way. And then he's wearing a lunging cavesson, that's this blue thing with the fuzzy on it, and the 3 rings. So the reason why I use the cavesson is because I can push the horse straight forward to the end of his nose. Whereas if I've got the lunge line hooked to the side, I'm constantly pulling a little bit sideways. And then you end up with a little bit of a crooked horse, which most of them are crooked to start with, so you don't want to complicate things. So I have the lunge line attached to his nose on the cavesson, and then I'll attach the side reins to the bit. This way also the horse is making their own corrections. So if they come up against the pressure of the bridle and the side rein and they get a little upset, they figure out how to correct it themselves because, they're the ones who did it. And so then they're like, well, wait a minute, and you're not involved. You're just sending the horse forward and keeping them on the circle. So they are learning themselves how to accept the pressure in the bridle, how to accept the contact in the reins, so that they can use the muscles that they need to use in their back, in their top line, in their neck, hindquarters, so that they're lifting up their belly, rounding up their back, stretching out those muscles that don't get used on a regular basis when they're just hanging out eating all day. So I'll show you how we're going to adjust these for Hudson. And with any horse, I never start with them tight because that wouldn't be very fair. There's a spider crawling on the wall, very slowly because it's cold. Okay, so hang on, let me turn. Hudson is wearing on his back. We don't have a saddle on yet because it doesn't really help him to wear the saddle when he's lunging. Also, side reins are not an ideal schooling mechanism on the ground for him because he tends to balance on his front end anyway, and then it's harder to correct that problem using the side reins, so I usually long line him, but he's good at lunging in side reins, so I figured we could do it. Anyway, so he has on a surcingle, which goes all around his belly, and a pad on his back to give him a little bit of protection. And then, man, you're just being a pest, huh? Yeah, you're a total pain in the butt. No, that's what I get for doing your stretches before. Come here, step up. Oh. All right, so the side reins are already attached to the side of the surcingle. Really? Okay. And I have them set on the loosest hole, okay? So they're as long as they possibly can be, unless I added an extension, which is also possible. They do come in different lengths. These have a rubber donut so that there's some give and some stretch to them. And there's other ones that have elastic inserts or different things like that. So now I think he knows what we're doing. Stop. Stop. All right, so I put the side rein on the bridle. He already understands what this means. So I can put both side reins on at a time. Yeah, I know, it means you're going to work. But if it was a horse that had never done this before, and I was worried about how they were going to accept the contact, I might just do one side rein send them out on the line, make sure they're calm and they're okay with it, and then, you know, add the second side rein so they get the feeling of the pressure. But he's been doing groundwork like this for a long time. So you can see as I've got it adjusted here, he's not tucked in behind the vertical with his nose. He can poke his nose out. It's loose and flappy. He's not being really restricted in any sort of way unless I flap it and make him back up. Can you step up here? So whenever I'm starting the horse, I start it nice and loose on both sides. And there's some folks that want to tighten up on the inside one to help with bend issues, but I find there's better ways to correct that. Where are you going? Excuse me. So this is a common problem, that they feel that pressure of the side rein and they back up. And this is how a lot of horses kind of get the better of people, that they start backing up and then you can't get behind them fast enough and then you can't send them out and then they just stand there and stare at you. So, and then when you start waving stuff at them, then they start to rear. So that's super fun. Can you step up? Good boy. Okay, good boy. So as he gets going in work, then I might adjust them and make them a little bit tighter. But I tend to not tighten just one and not the other, but it depends on the horse. The major problem that people have with bend is that the horse isn't moving the shoulder away from the inside of the circle. So if that's really the problem, it's not that the side rein is too loose, it's that the horse doesn't understand, move your shoulder and go into the outside rein, because that's what we're trying to get them to do, is move over into the outside rein, step under deeper with your inside hind leg, lift your shoulder, step into the outside rein, and repeat. So then you make more room in the shoulder, so then the hind leg can step under deeper the next time. And so you're trying to improve the gait, you're trying to improve the trot. No, just relax. Being a good boy. Okay, so oh, come on, step up here. So I want all of the horses to start just on a walk. I don't want them to go out on the end of the lunge line and take off like a lunatic. Because they need to be thinking, they need to be listening, they need to be respectful and paying attention. And this is, you know, this is work. This is not like run around and, you know, have a good time. This is get your body in gear, get your brain in gear, let's go to work, we're preparing to ride, or we're preparing, you know, we're getting ready to ride maybe tomorrow or something like that. But you can see as he's walking, he's got his head in a low position. It's lower than his withers, and that's not ideal. We really want him to pull even or higher than his withers, but he's also not moving forward. adjust everything sometimes and then change direction. It's kind of a pain in the butt. That's why I like long lining better, but not every horse likes long lining. So sometimes we're doing this, or I have the side reins up